Hey, all, welcome back. All right, we're going to talk about Charles Darwin again. I've been bashing this guy for a while now. But check this out. This is a new article. This came out actually just a few weeks ago. It says Charles Darwin admits he devoted his whole life to fantasy. So let's jump into this. And this comes from evolutionnews.org, and it's titled Darwin's Many Doubts. Check this out. To his credit, Charles Darwin showed a disarmingly sensitive awareness of the criticisms which were to be leveled at his theory. Why, he asks, if species have descended from other species by fine graduations, do we not everywhere see innumerable transitional forms? And right, so if you look at supposedly different sediment layers throughout the years, or in this case millions of years, we should see transitional forms, gradual forms of humans evolving over time. Not only humans, just animals, whether they're elephants or mice or whatever, you should see these slow graduations, but there's no transitional forms. I was trying to remember the video of a guy I watched, and he's a top evolutionist. He's like the leading evolutionist, and he has these millions of fossils, and he says there's no transitional forms. You find this all throughout the fossil record, and Charles Darwin even admits this. There's no transitional forms. Why is not all nature in confusion, instead of the species being as we see them well defined, as by this theory innumerable transitional forms must have existed? Why do we not find them embedded in countless numbers in the crust of the earth? He even contemplated being mistaken and presumptuous, writing, I have asked myself whether I may not have devoted my whole life or my life to fantasy. He concedes. And then he wrote this. This is a specific quote he wrote in one of his books. It says, if it could be demonstrated that any complex organism existed which could not have possibly been formed by numerous, successive, slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. And there's a good book out there you should read. I actually have it. It's called Darwin's Black Box. If you haven't read this, I actually haven't read the whole thing, but it's a really good book. This came out in the 90s, and Michael Behe is the one who created this book, and he coined a term called irreducible complexity. Let me show you what this means. I'm going to show you, I have a picture of a mousetrap here. This is what it means. And I'll tell you why I'm talking about this. And we're going to go back, talk about this numerous, successive, slight modifications. So if you look at a mousetrap, simple example, spring, hammer, you've got the hold down bar, the platform, the catch. If you have one of these things not working, the whole system doesn't work at all. So he argues with irreducible complexity. If you look at more complex systems in the body, like the eye, and we're going to go talk about the eye here in just a second, the brain, the heart, how can these systems evolve over time? Because if something as simple as this breaks down, doesn't work, then how do the rest of these systems are going to work? And that's what it means by irreducible complexity. Look at this next one. Charles Darwin. This is coming from Charles Darwin. He even says his theory is garbage. This latter doubt explains why he remained troubled for the remainder of his life by the eye's apparent precision engineering. And keep note that Charles Darwin, I believe he was just a priest, and he has no background in any type of biology or anything like that. So it's funny how these evolutionists, they want people to have all this education, but their main guy that they refer work from his book is this guy who basically has no experience. And this is what he writes. To suppose that the eye, with all its inimitable contrivances for adjusting the focus to different distances, for emitting different amounts of light, and for the correction of spherical and chromatic aberration, could have been formed by natural selection, seems, I freely confess, absurd in the highest degree. He wrote this, not me. And here's a quick video from the Institute for Creation Research. If you haven't checked out this website, it's awesome. It's been around for many years. But just listen to this. It's a 2-minute video. I hope it comes through.
Great photographers make taking a picture look easy. They pair a select lens to a sophisticated camera and adjust shutter speed and aperture size to capture the perfect photo. Our eyes perform similar tasks, but we're precisely engineered better than any camera, and their components are vastly more sophisticated. The cornea is responsible for approximately 70% of light focus. It bends light in precise ways to enter your pupil, just like a camera lens. The iris widens or shrinks to adjust to different environments. In dark environments, environments, it widens to let in more light. In bright environments, it shrinks to protect your eyes from overexposure. The lens focuses light onto the retina, which captures and converts light waves into nerve impulses and sends them through the optic nerve to the brain. Of course, the ability to see is so complicated that we need more than just an eyeball. We also need muscles. Ocular muscles rotate eyes inside the skull in perfect sync with the demands of vision. One muscle uses a small ligament as a pulley to rotate the eye toward the nose. A ring of tiny muscles adjusts the lens shape so we can quickly focus from far to near and back to far. When the brain receives nerve impulses, it translates them into images. The images actually come in upside down, but thankfully, the brain flips them around. God's marvelous engineering makes it possible for us to see the details of His creation. The eye, specialized nerves, and unique muscles all operate in perfect harmony, better than any camera. Could it have been made by time and chance? No way. Just as cameras have a designer, the seeing eye is an ingenious design made by an all-powerful creator. The hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord has made them both. Proverbs 20:12.
So just an interesting video. It just compares the difference between a camera and an eye. Like, I've got my phone here. How long would I have to imagine, all the components that this phone is made of? If they just, laid here on a desk just separately, how long would it take for them to evolve into a phone? It's impossible. And, same thing, this thing's got a camera. It's got a built-in camera. You would say, hey, someone created this phone, or someone created the camera inside this phone. And I would argue that someone had to create the human eye, and the body and the brain and the liver and the heart. Everything has to function correctly, or the whole thing just shuts down. So that's, irreducible complexity. That's one of the arguments, is these things just can't evolve over time. And but if you're a doubter, just read Michael Behe's book, Darwin's Black Box. It's a great book. Just read it with an open mind. And again, I'm not here trying to tell you to right now just believe the Bible. I believe it's the final authority, but I'm just trying to create maybe just a little bit of doubt, just show you that there's another side to this. Darwin says it himself. Even Richard Dawkins, he has doubts as well. I think there might be even a quote in here in just a few minutes. But all I'm trying to show you is there's another side of the story. Just research it. Don't take my word for it. I just want you to research on yourself. And then it says, his concern persisted since he repeated the same doubt in a letter to the American biologist Asa Gray in 1861. Sometimes he is capable of candid incredulity at what he all but concedes is the sheer infeasibility of some of his postulates, as in the following question to his readers, where he muses. Can instincts, here's another one of his quotes, can instincts be acquired and modified through natural selection? What shall we say to so marvelous an instinct at that which leads to bee to make cells, which has practically anticipated the discoveries of profound mathematicians? So it's just talking about this. If you look at this, bees, they make these hexagonal cells. And it's just an interesting picture on how these bees are able to do this. How do they do this? What mathematician is behind this for them to make these hexagons? I find it interesting. What created it? What put it in their brain to be able to do something like this? And that's another one point that he argues. It says, I can imagine that no few bluff Victorian readers could have responded to the challenge of that question with some such sarcastic rejoinder as, you said it, old boy, and all by a witness process too, truly incredible. The admirable candor of some of Darwin's own observations comments appears to give us at least some license to read parts of his published work under erasure, and to harbor legitimate doubt as to whether Darwin himself believed all that he had written. After all, the origin of the species is full of such theistic phrases as the clause impressed on matter by the Creator, and he could not have merely been including such phrases as a gesture toward public opinion, because they appear in the same form in the first pencil sketch of his theory written in 1842, read only by himself. Such phrases must at any rate endorse the judgment of Neil Gillespie that Darwin was more than ordinarily prone to epistemological double vision. Remarkably, the same kind of cognitive dissonance between the published and private views of a number of scientists working in the fields of evolution and cosmology persist even today. Most famously, the late Sir Fred Hoyle advanced the thesis that the bio-friendly nature of our world appeared at any rate to be a fix or put-up job. I love this, what he says here, as if a super intellect had monkeyed with physics for the purpose of spawning and supporting life. Even arc materialists, here it is, Richard Dawkins, could write that life is almost unimaginably complicated in directions that convey a powerful illusion of deliberate design. This is Richard Dawkins saying this. He's saying an atheist search for God more than Christians do. And they're looking for something because they know their whole theory just doesn't make sense. I even heard Richard Dawkins, he talks about aliens. He says maybe aliens created us. So again, he's already going off. He's trying to discredit God, but he'll say, hey, aliens created us, but he won't believe in God. It's fascinating to me. And in the 6th chapter of his Blind Watchmaker, I came across this rather disarming comment. Does it sound to you as though it would need a miracle to make randomly jostling atoms join together into a self-replicating molecule? Well, at times it does to me too. Cumulatively, these instances of seeming ambivalence amongst science professionals prompt the reader to wonder how certain of their grounds these writers really are. Oh no, few occasions it can appear that cognitive dissonance reaches the point of outright perceptual distortion when empirical observation collides with prior ideological commitment. So I just thought it was an interesting article. So that's it. That's the whole article. So look, you choose for yourself. I don't want to tell you what to think. You go ahead and just read these articles and just dive deeper. Look at both sides. Evolution, they call it the evolutionary theory, but it's the only thing taught in school. These schools are just indoctrination camps, and it never talks about creation science. I think you should teach evolution and creation, and then you let the student pick for themselves, not using my tax dollars to push evolution down people's throats. And they put this guy Charles Darwin on a pedestal when this guy was totally against his own theory. He had tons of doubts, but they never tell you this in the textbooks. And this is all throughout his writings. So before I was a Christian, I always wondered what this means. Hey, I'm a good guy. I felt like, at the time, hey, I went to school, I had a good job. I was a pretty nice guy, I took care of my parents. And I paid my taxes, but that's not what gets you to heaven. Just being a good person, that doesn't make you a Christian. This is what makes you a Christian, is accepting Jesus in your life. You have to have a relationship with him. And this comes from Romans 10:9 and 10. You can just pop out your Bible and read it. It says, if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, shall believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. So it's just a simple prayer. You can say it out loud. You don't have to say it in these exact words. Just say, hey, Jesus, I'm a sinner. Believe you died for my sins on the cross. I want you to come into my life and take over. I believe in your birth, your crucifixion, your resurrection, and I want to be with you in heaven. And Lord, just show me what you want for my life. Show me your will, and I want to go out there and do your work. And that's all you have to do. It's a simple prayer. And then from there, you want to start growing. Grab a Bible. Start with the book of John. That's the New Testament. You have the first 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And I like the book of John. You can start with either one. I just like the way it's laid out. It talks about his birth, his crucifixion, his resurrection. And I just think it's really laid out really well. And it's a great place to start. So that's it. Don't forget, if you find this content valuable, like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you guys next week.